Last night, Jaime Garcia gave the Twins a solid start in his Twins debut, and the Twins got a much-needed win in the opening game of this three-game series. They'd like to have a winning road trip. They'll hope to continue the winning trend here tonight in Game 2 between the Twins and the Oakland A's. Twins baseball is brought to you by State Farm Insurance. And we welcome you to the Coliseum in Oakland. Dick Bramer along with Roy Smalley. The Twins hope to reemerge as a contender for a postseason spot. And we know things are fluid, but right now the starting rotation is actually being led statistically by the guy going tonight.
And the rotation has dramatically changed. We've got a 44-year-old guy, we've got a new guy, and then we've got a young left-hander tonight that is really, really pitching well, and he's on a roll.
When you look at Mejia's numbers, a 2.38 ERA, and look at the low opponent batting average compared to the rest of the rotation.
Well, he's pitched very, very well, especially on the road. He just seems to be very, very focused. And the pitching coach, Neil Allen, has worked very hard with Adalberto Mejia on his release point, getting a consistent delivery and release point, because when he does, those three pitches, fastball, breaking ball, changeup, they're all big league caliber, and he can really pitch when he's throwing the ball in the strike zone.
Twins don't have enough wins, at least not as many as they would like on this road trip, just one so far, but yet they've managed to score some runs, having hit just one home run. 6 runs last night without a home run, and the balance in the lineup was a big edge for the Twins last night.
Well, it's something that the Twins are going to have to score enough runs to win. They need balance and production up and down the lineup. They got it from the bottom of the lineup last night, especially Zach Granite, who, after a bit of a slow start, has really gotten acclimated and is hitting the ball extremely well. He's got an 8-game hitting streak. He doesn't strike out, he doesn't swing at bad pitches, and he puts the ball in play primarily because he's got a wonderfully simple and direct to the ball with the big end of the bat swing. This is amazing. Here are two different at bats. One base hit goes to the left field, the other goes to center. Look at where the big end of the bat is, above his hands. You don't see that very often, and we'll roll it from here. The big end goes right directly to the ball, and you see the one on the right center, the one on the left to left field with the exact same swing. The only thing that changes is where the big end of the bat contacts the ball. It's very simple, it's very direct, and that's why he's starting to get acclimated. That's why he hit 460 for a month in AAA.
And it sure looks like Zach Granite belongs in the major leagues as an outfielder, and it's becoming more and more certain that Adalberto Mejia belongs in the Twins rotation. We'll see if he can give the Twins a good one tonight in Game 2. Twins baseball on Fox Sports North is presented by Toyota. Tested, trusted, Toyota. Toyota, let's go places. By CenturyLink, connecting you to the power of the digital world. By Sanford Orthopedics and Sports Medicine, for the everyday competitor in all of us. And by Jeep, the official vehicles of summer are ready for what your summer brings. Hurry in to your nearest Jeep dealer for the clearance event of the summer. Game 2 between the Twins and the A's, and the highlight of the night already has happened for that young lady. She wanted a hug from Miguel Sano, and look what happened.
And she got one.
She got a hug from Miguel Sano.
And she's pretty thrilled about it.
And Sano hopes to have a good night as well, and maybe help lead the Twins to a win here in Game 2. A's are struggling. They've lost 5 in a row. The Twins ended a 4-game losing streak last night. The Twins have scored a little more than 4 runs per game on this road trip, but so far just the 1 win last night when they scored 6 times, but yet again didn't get much done at the plate after the 5th inning. Paul Molitor hoping that the Twins can get back to the 500 mark. Right now they're 50 and 51. The Menards batting order for Game 2. Brian Dozier leading off, then Max Kepler, Miguel Sano, Joe Mauer, Eduardo Escobar, Eddie Rosario, Robbie Grossman, Zach Granite, and Jason Castro. Facing journeyman, right-hander, veteran right-hander Chris Smith.
Journeyman has to be the right term, right? It's been around a long time. Finally getting a start.
Been a reliever, and Dozier swings and misses in his exposure to the big leagues, but now the A's are trying him out as a starter.
First pitch, 608.
1 strike to Dozier. Kepler and Sano will follow. And base hit through the left side of the infield. Dozier's aboard with a leadoff single. Max Kepler will bat. And here's the Northland Ford defense for the Oakland A's. They have a lot of issues defensively and showed some of those issues last night. Chris Davis is in left. Jacob Bruckman is in center field tonight. Rajai Davis is in right. Chapman looks like he's going to be a really good defensive third baseman. Semien and Lowry up the middle. Alonso at first base, and Ryan Lavarnway behind the plate. The A's committing 2 errors last night. They actually committed 3, were charged with 2, and have 87 errors on the season. They've only played 103 games. 1 strike to Kepler. As Dozier had a pull shift in the infield as a right-handed batter, now Kepler is facing it as a left-handed batter. Swing and a miss out in front, and it's 0-2.
There's a difference between location of pitches. It's interesting that 2 pitches there, 74 miles an hour. One to Brian Dozier up near his eyes for a base hit, and then a really good changeup down low. For pitchers out there, young pitchers, notice location.
And on 3 pitches, Kepler heads back to the dugout, 1 down. That'll bring up Sano.
Batting in the 3rd position.
Sano struck out 3 times last night.
22, Miguel
You get the batting average heading north again, down to 270.
We see Miguel Sano go through streaks where he is just, whether it's conscious or subconscious, his body is going toward left field. Like his subconscious mind makes up his mind that he's going to hit the ball long to left field, and he gets really, really out of whack. That's where he is right now.
Taken low, ball 1. Lavarnway digs it out of the dirt.
Or I should say where he's been for the last 2 weeks or so. And then we'll see him all of a sudden he'll hit a ringing double or a home run to right center or right field, and then everything changes. Hits the ball all over the field again and gets hot, drives in a bunch of runs, and then the pull streak comes in again.
2-0. 138 strikeouts and 345 at bats. in front. 2-1. Thought he'd get a fastball and got an off-speed pitch.
Yeah, another changeup. And Smith already has thrown. He threw a changeup to Dozier, strike 2 and strike 3 to Kepler, and 2 of the 3 pitches today, and missed that one in a 2-0 fastball count changeup.
Chopped toward short, cut off by the third baseman, and Chapman makes a nice play. Dozier advancing to second. So runner at second, 2 down for Joe Mauer. Smith
Batting in the 4th position.
Making 3
First
prior
baseman,
starts.
number 7.
Former 4th
Joe
round pick by the
Mauer.
Red Sox way back in 2002. Look at Mauer's numbers on the year. And Smith was given a chance to start. And Bob Melvin said yesterday, you know, we went out there, sent him out there thinking, okay, he's been a reliever. He's conditioned as a reliever. Get 3-4 innings out of him, we'd be thrilled. And he went 6. Then he went out the next time and they said, well, that's not going to happen again. And it didn't. He went 7. Then he came back in his 3rd start and went 6 again. He's been a godsend for the A's as they've had so many injuries to their starting rotation. And a guy who's, you know, at this level, his only exposure has been as a relief pitcher. He's given the A's 3 competitive starts.
Well, so far as I've seen him for the first time, if you're going to throw this many changeups, it's not going to wear your arm out too much.
1-0 to Mauer. And now outside 2-0. Melvin said that Smith's been really good in the clubhouse. He's in a way been kind of a mentor to some of the younger players. There's a strike called 2-1 because of what he's gone through. One year he didn't even pitch at all. And he had 5 years between stints in the big leagues before he got some time with the A's pitching out of the bullpen last year. He doesn't take anything for granted. Thrilled to put on a big league uniform. And Mauer takes outside 3-1 with Escobar on deck.
You see the movement on that changeup right there too. That's clearly one of his favorite weapons, and you can see right here the ball goes down and away at 74 miles an hour. Fastball about 85, 86, not much, but it changeup significantly slower and with good arm speed. So you can see where he can be effective.
Fouled back 3-2. It was what, 85, and it almost looked like he threw it by Joe.
Well, that's what happened. You bury that changeup in hitters' minds. You know, Joe's watching the changeup to the first 2 hitters. He saw changeup himself. And you just don't want to be way out in front of the changeup like Kepler and Sano were. So you're waiting to make sure what the pitch is. And then even at 85, if you're protected against 74 miles per hour, 85 looks pretty quick.
3-2. Mauer pops it up left side. Chapman looks like he's got an easy catch. And he makes the catch. Dozier leads off the inning with a single, ends up at second base, and now Adalberto Mejia takes the mound in Oakland. the 500 mark, find themselves after the Dodgers sweep below now by just one game, and they hope that Alberto Mejia can pitch them to a win here tonight. And Bob Melvin has seen his team plummet to the bottom of the American League West. They are 24.5 games behind the Astros. The Menards batting order for Oakland: Rajai Davis leading off, Marcus Semien, Ryan Healy, Chris Davis, Jed Lowry, Yonder Alonso, Matt Chapman, Ryan Lavarnway, and Jacob Bruckman.
Adalberto Mejia on the mound for the Twins. He's been the best pitcher the last month or so in the Twins rotation. As we said in the open of the show, he's got 3 big league pitches. If he throws them consistently in the strike zone, if he finds the consistent release point, he's very, very tough.
And a fastball, strike one. That's what the Twins would like to see. More aggression with the fastball, getting ahead, which would allow him then, they feel, to get deeper into a ball game. He has gone through the 6th inning once, or twice actually, and into the completed 7 innings twice. Came 1 out short 3 starts ago against the Orioles, but the last 2 starts, 5 1/3 and 4 1/3. 2 strikes to Rajai Davis. Left center, chased by Rosario, and he won't get there. That'll go to the wall, and Rajai Davis on an 0-2 pitch has a double. Reached across the plate and hit it to the gap, and he's at second with nobody out.
Batting second, shortstop, number 10, Marcus Semien.
0-2 pitch looked like a breaking ball. It actually not too bad a pitch. Stayed up a little higher than he wanted for an 0-2 pitch. Wanted to bury that one a little bit better, make him swing at a bad pitch if he would. But pretty good hitting by Rajai Davis.
And now Marcus Semien. Fouled away. Need to keep an eye on Rajai Davis once he gets on base, and he hasn't gotten there enough for the A's, but he still is a threat to steal. 4 steals in 4 tries. Excuse me. 19 steals in 25 tries. Chris Davis has 4 steals. Down and in, and it's 1-1. Strikes out about once every 4 times. Just over 100 at bats. He had a broken wrist. Off to second, and Rajai Davis gets back.
Little daylight play there. Daylight play is named as such because the shortstop will work in behind directly behind the runner and then break toward second base. You see him when the pitcher sees daylight between the runner and the shortstop, then he wheels and throws. It's just it's not a set play. It's not a timing play. It's just an opportunistic play. If the shortstop thinks he might have a chance and the pitcher's watching him and he breaks and the pitcher sees daylight, he whirls and throws.
2-1 to Semien. Mentioned last night the A's have really struggled this year, and particularly lately against left-handed pitching. They're hitting just .227 against lefties. But as they showed last night, they've shown enough patience to draw a lot of walks. It's been kind of a bugaboo for Mejia. Falling behind and issuing walks. There's a pitch up, and now it's 3-1. 74 and 2/3 innings, 34 walks, 63 strikeouts, 15 starts, 74 and 2/3 innings. So what does your California high school math tell you? That's less than 5 innings per start, and that's the area that Mejia needs to improve upon. I didn't mean to do the math for you, but you would have eventually figured that out.
Eventually I'd have gotten there. You know, there are so many pluses and minuses for this young guy, and he is indeed working on better control, fewer walks, all those kinds of things. But he does another thing I really like is how he competes. He really does battle out there, and he wants to pitch well, and he wants to fight guys there in the figurative sense when he's pitching. He's got as good an attitude for a pitcher, I think, as anybody on the starting staff. He really wants to compete. I like that. I like to see that in a young guy.
Full count to Semien. Davis at second after his leadoff double. Granite over, makes a nice running catch, and he fires back to the infield. That ball was drilled. Granite took a perfect angle to make the catch.
He did take a really good route. You're right, and got a good jump on it as well. So everything worked in Zach's favor. 3-2 pitch, ball right down the middle, just outside the middle. Semien, who is one of the A's in the A's lineup that hits the ball very well against left-hand pitchers, and you see the route and the jump that Zach got to run that down.
Ryan Healy, the designated hitter, will hit.
Here's another one that another A's hitter that swings it very well.
Closer play at second. This time Dozier covering the bag.
Very well against left-handed pitchers, but as Dick has mentioned, as a team, they're not hitting well against left-handers at all, and it's mainly because they're big run producers. Chris Davis and Yonder Alonso have really not been good at all against left-handed pitching. That hurts when your big horses aren't doing anything.
Down and away, ball one. Twins starting pitching in terms of ERA, 13th in the American League. The Twins relief pitching in terms of ERA, 13th in the American League. Down the line and a base hit. It'll put the A's up 1-0. Some well hit balls against Mejia here in the first inning. And a pair of doubles give the A's the first run.
Batting in the fourth position, left fielder.
And that'll bring up Chris Davis.
This looked like it was right in the middle of the plate. Well, it was down and in just a little bit, but probably not exactly where Mejia wanted to throw that pitch. And, you know, he's got a good fastball, but not good enough to fall behind and then lay it in there.
There's Davis. Taking low, ball one. When we talked about Davis's struggles against lefties, hitting just .203. 28 home runs on the year, and only 2 of them against left-handed pitching. And strike 1-1. Popped up behind second base. Dozier fighting the sun, but he is there to make the catch. 2 down. Northland Ford defense for the Twins. Rosario, Granite, and Kepler across the outfield. Sano and Escobar left side of the infield. Dozier and Mauer on the other side, and Castro catching again. Castro's caught every game on this road trip so far. Day game tomorrow. Pretty good bet. Chris Jimenez will be in there. Jed Lowry, the batter. Hey, Lowry's a switch hitter, and looks like he's just wears one batting helmet with a flap on each ear. Is that how you did, or did you have a separate right-handed, left-handed batting helmet?
You forget the dinosaur days in which I played. I was not made to wear they had a rule here. It passed a law in baseball. You had to just wear the one helmet. But I had
trying
one of
to
each.
cut this ball off, and he'll get there. You did what now?
I had one of each.
You did?
Yeah.
Okay. Couple of doubles. The A's get a run to take the first lead of the game, and Eddie Rosario will bat second for the Twins as they hope to tie the game up.
Okay, fans, we're in section 120.
The top of the second, it's time for our car soup scoop from the clubhouse. Jason Castro said last night he saw two different A's teams. At the beginning, they were a very patient team, then noticeably much more aggressive after the third inning. He expects them to have that aggressive attitude early on in this one, and Mejia should be able to use that to his advantage. Byron Buxton had a good night last night in Rochester. Paul Molitor says the plan is 2 more healthy games, then he'll fly to San Diego for the start on Tuesday. And because of a possible trade looming, A's pitcher Sonny Gray has been scratched from his start tomorrow. Jarrell Cotton will get the start instead. Guys?
Ball right side and through for a base hit. Escobar's aboard with a leadoff hit. Yeah, Sonny Gray, his start is being moved back to Monday. Bob Melvin said he's not being scratched. They're just giving him an extra day. But, of course, it's all done with the prospect of him possibly being traded. The Yankees have shown some interest. The Astros have shown some interest, and even the Brewers. My guess is he'll go to New York because I think the Yankees have the prospect wherewithal to give the A's what they might be looking for with the possible trade of Sonny Gray. Here's Eddie Rosario after Escobar's single. And a note too on Byron Buxton. He got 2 more hits tonight, including an infield hit. So he's 4 for 8 in his rehab assignment, and the hope, as Audra said, is he'll get through tomorrow's game in good shape physically, and then Twins have an off day Monday, and he'd fly to San Diego and join the team, and maybe, almost certainly, I would think, be in the lineup Tuesday night.
Good to see the infield hits because his injured leg looks like it, or sounds like it's fine, but also put the ball in play and use that speed.
You're a contemporary of mine. You remember years and years ago, and I didn't see the movie. I have no idea what it's about, but there was a movie titled 3 into 2 Won't Go. You remember that movie?
No,
you don't. Okay.
I missed that one.
Well, I'm thinking of the outfield situation, and 4 into 3 doesn't go very well either. So if Buxton's activated, it'll be interesting to see how the Twins handle that. Granite seems to belong up here, right? I mean, he played well in the field, and he's gotten hits, and he certainly hasn't looked overmatched.
Yeah, I think that Zach Granite has proven he's a big league player, in the sense that he certainly isn't a AAA player. He's proven that he doesn't need to do much more in AAA, but oftentimes roster issues get guys. And, and it will be interesting to see what they decide to do.
2-2 to Rosario, and now down and away, full count. We'll see if the Twins do anything with Escobar.
Good take right there by Eddie Rosario. A free swinger. We've seen him not have to have strikes to hit. He'll swing all over the strike zone and all around outside the strike zone. But good take on that changeup right there. Smith's changeup has fooled a lot of guys. Didn't fool Eddie there with 2 strikes. Might get it again right here.
And Escobar checked it first.
Although it looks like it's not going to be a changeup. The catcher, you see him kind of standing up a little bit, giving a high target. You don't want to change up there, so they may be looking to go up and in on it.
Escobar goes, and pitch taken outside, and now the Twins have a good start to the inning, a single and a walk, and Robbie Grossman comes up. Grossman, the designated hitter, and hitting 7th. Looking at Gene Glenn for the signs.
Position, designated hitter, number 36, Robbie Grossman.
Mentioned the Twins have played 4 games out here, only won 1, but they've hit just 1 home run on this road trip. That was Rosario's in Los Angeles the other night against the Dodgers. Grossman squares and puts the ball on the ground. They're going to have to hurry to get him, and the throw pulls him off the bag. So Grossman rolling one, never got into the grass at all. It just stayed in the base path in the dirt, and a perfectly placed bunt for a single. They're loaded up with nobody out.
Zach Granite has got such a wonderfully simple swing. Look, his hands go straight back and then straight at the ball. And look, the big end of his bat, and these are 2 at-bats last night. The big end of the bat above his hands, 2 different at-bats. The swings are exactly the same. And then all the way through, the bat stays level through the zone. That's why he makes such consistent contact, doesn't strike out.
And a liner to center, a base hit. Escobar scores. Rosario right behind him, and Granite on the first pitch puts the Twins in front 2-1.
And we just saw the exact same swing. If we put a 3 boxes up there instead of 2, you'd have seen the exact same thing on that swing as you do as we just showed you in those other 2. Very consistent, very simple, very short. We hear all the time. You watch it right here. Watch how direct to the ball it is. Bang, right there. Nothing complicated about that swing. And when you know that your swing is uncomplicated and it's short, you can wait a long time. That's why he doesn't swing at bad pitches and why he doesn't strike out much, because he knows that the big end of the bat will contact the ball and just about whatever a pitcher has to throw at him.
Jason Castro, still nobody out. Twins have 2 men on and 2 men in already here in the second. Asked Jason about his hitting last night. 2 doubles down the left field line and another line drive that was caught by Davis. And he says, well, when they shift me and pitch me outside, he says that just seems like the smart thing to do. And so here they are, even with 2 men on, they've got a pull shift on in the infield. And the first pitch, the target was away, and the pitch was even farther outside than that.
Here's the side swing of the base hit that Zach just got, and you'll see he was just a little bit out in front of that changeup, but the path of the big end of the bat was exactly the same.
There's a changeup and a swing and a miss.
People talk all the time about having a short swing. And what that means is that there's not a loop in the path that the big end of the bat travels. It's very direct to the ball, and that's epitomizes Zach Granite's swing.
Remember years ago when Paul Molitor was roving through the Twins minor league system, and I asked him about Denard Span, who of course is now with the Giants, has had a great career. He said the thing that impressed him about Span is even in the minor leagues he knew what type of player he was going to be in the big leagues. And I think we can already see that with Granite. We don't see over swinging because that's not his game.
Oh, it certainly isn't. And you're right. You're absolutely right about that. From the moment he looked at his first big league pitch at Target Field when he was called up. The swing that he has is the swing that he has, and he's not going to hit for a lot of power, but he's going to put the bat on the ball. He's going to draw walks. He can steal bases. He can run the ball down in the outfield.
Smith struggling here in the second. 3-1 now to Castro with Dozier on deck. And there's ball 4. So they're loaded up again. Still nobody out. And the Twins have turned the lineup over. Dozier coming up with the bases loaded. And trip to the mound here gives me enough time to mention to you something I mention on a nightly basis. Twins don't have a grand slam yet.
Pitch sequence all at one time to Jason Castro, and not very close on too many of them. Walk loads the bases for a guy that could get you excited about a grand slam here, Dick. Brian has had a nice and yet somewhat quiet under the radar second half. He's swinging the bat very well, hitting over 300 since the break, but hasn't really gotten red hot like we've seen Brian get in the past.
Bouncer to third, and they'll come home and get one, and safe at first. And Alonso is claiming that Dozier was running in the base path, but it looked throughout as if Alonso's biggest issue was looking right into the sun to catch the catcher's throw. Grossman forced. Bob Melvin coming out to talk with Tom Hallion about where Dozier was running up the baseline.
Well, it's tough to see. You can see how the shadows are. I really thought Chapman had a chance right there to step on third and go to first, but he wanted to cut that run down.
Yeah. First of all, as a right-handed batter, to get onto the base line, you have to step through fair territory. And now they're going to take a look at the play at first base. They're going to challenge whether Dozier reached safely. The original call is safe at first.
Previous play is under review.
A potentially big call here. The Twins will have the bases loaded, 1 out, or second and third and 2 out. And on that replay, it looked like he might have been out. We'll see if there's enough evidence to complete the double play. And it looks like Dozier's foot is inches away from the base, so I think there's a real good chance this call is going to get overturned. See the shadow of Alonso, the first baseman, and they're going to keep Dozier at first base. I don't understand that. He was out.
Well, in that last look that we just showed you, it looked like
is confirmed.
Alonso's foot came off the base a little early too. So I don't know if that influenced what the umpire saw, but it looked to me like he came off early.
They say the call doesn't stand. It was confirmed, so they must have seen what you saw, that his foot came off the base. Here is Kepler, with Alonso playing in front of the runner at first, and Kepler swings and misses. Watch Alonso's foot. And he did come off the base.
Well, Alonso's first reaction was that Dozier was running in the baseline. If he thought he was out, I think he would have had a different reaction.
Strike on the outside corner, and Kepler has seen 5 strikes from Smith. He struck out on 3 pitches in the first inning. You know, this is where the Twins need to cash in here. They lead the league in runners left on base. because of situations like this. Sano on deck. 0-2 to Kepler. And Max is having a tough time against Chris Smith. 2 strikeouts on 6 pitches. 2 away, and now Sano.
Now the background's a little tough right now. The hitter's background in sunlight, and they're in the shadow, and Max is not picking it up very well. But he's let Chris Smith's ability to pitch back and forth, fastball and changeup, really affect him. He got a fastball that you can see right there, and that's really tough on the hitter. I hated this when the background that I was looking into was bright and the pitcher was in shadow. It was like looking at something that's incredibly backlit, and you just can't see very well.
Sano hooks one foul.
But Max, I think Max's bigger problem there, he got 2 changeups in a row to strike him out in his first time up. Then he got a changeup he was way out in front of, first strike. Then his mind's all messed up, and he changed and looked for a changeup, got a fastball right there to hit and took it because he was looking changeup. Then he went back to fastball speed and was way out in front of the changeup. So that was just a classic back and forth by the pitcher.
0-2. Twins and the Boston Red Sox are the only major league teams that do not have a grand slam. And now Sano tries to have a productive at bat with an 0-2 count. 1-2. Granite drove in a couple of runs with a single. He's at third base. Castro walked. Dozier reached on a fielder's choice. One and 2. Another floater, another swing and a miss. Twins get 2 but leave 3. It's 2-1 Minnesota.
Yonder Alonso.
Zach Granite's 2-run single, putting the Twins in front 2-1 in the top of the second inning. And the Twins State Farm Central combination, 2 teams, 2 red-hot teams that they're trying to chase. The Indians right now are tied with the White Sox at 4 apiece in the 7th inning. And look at the long winning streaks, 8 for the Indians, 9 for the Royals. And the Royals now are behind Boston 6-4 in the 6th inning. Eduardo Nunez, who was traded about a year ago for the guy on the mound, Adalberto Mejia, and has since been traded from the Giants over to the Red Sox. Eduardo Nunez has 2 home runs for Boston tonight. Yonder Alonso will lead things off against Mejia. And a first pitch fastball, strike 1. Alonso's cooled off since the All-Star break. And he takes low 1-1. Alonso, Chapman, and Lavarnway will hit. He giving up a couple of doubles in the game's first run in the first inning. Bounced foul. Mike Aldretti wanted no part of that.
There are outs in this A's lineup for Mejia. If he'll just take advantage, make good pitches against the guys that struggle against left-handers, and when you've got good left-handed stuff, just punish them.
Put the fastball in there. 1 and 2, now 2 and 2.
Certainly don't hit anybody.
"20 pitches, 13 strikes for Mejia." Breaking ball, left up high, and it's full count. Chapman on deck.
So far, Mejia's battling that release point we talked about a little bit. When he's good, he works right out front. Bert Blyleven and Jack Morris talk about it all the time. Troy Hawkins work his hand out in front. That's better there.
Fouled off the end of the bat, and Alonso wants a new bat. Some are wondering whether Alonso will be here on the other side of the trading deadline. Mejia thought he had it. Castro held it, and Tom Hallion wouldn't give the call. So it's a leadoff walk.
And Castro's talking with him with Hallion a little bit about that.
Batting in the 7th position, third baseman, number 26, Matt Chapman.
If anything, it was low. Was it low? Nope.
Yeah, it's a good pitch right there. That pitcher needs that pitch.
Matt Chapman will hit. Chapman getting a chance to play at third base. The start of the year, it was Trevor Plouffe, now playing third base for the Tampa Bay Rays. Then they tried Ryan Healy, but there were too many errors over there, and Chapman looks like he's going to be a really good defensive player. The jury's out as to whether he's going to be able to hit.
Well, I think they think he's going to hit for power, and the question is that going to be enough? Can he? 188 with some power is not going to cut it.
1-1. Started a phenomenal double play last night behind the bag.
Yeah, this was some kind of good. Sano with the rocket down the third base line that he dove and caught, and then made a great throw. Quick jump up and throw to second base. And I was impressed just the fact that he thought to go to second. Most guys make a diving play, they'll just get up and throw to first base.
2-1. He has gotten 5 ground ball double plays this year. Swing and a miss. Handed a 1-run lead as he begins work here in the second inning. Foul back.
A great former catcher for the A's, Ray Fosse, is now on the broadcast team here in Oakland. Was telling us, really raving about Chapman, wasn't he? Talking about how great a defensive player is. There's Ray. Good guy. Really good guy.
Been a long-time broadcaster here in Oakland for the A's.
He said when this guy hits him, he really hits him. He has hit some bombs. So I guess kind of a classic third baseman, a great defensive player, and a lot of power if he can figure out the batting average part.
Weak little pop-up. And Sano slams on the brakes, makes the catch. 1 away. A foul pop for the first out. That'll bring up Lavarnway. As of late, he's been awfully good in the last 5 weeks or so. He has been statistically by far the best Twins starting pitcher. We talk about Barrios. Look at his opponent batting average. Almost 100 points higher than Mejia's.
He has been very, very good. And as I was saying, it's a really good combination of good stuff and a willingness to really compete and figure out a way, even when he gets in trouble, to get himself out of trouble, minimize damage.
Outside ball 1.
It's really frustrating for, I'm sure, for, as we look at the two of the Twin starters there, Barrios and Santana. It's frustrating for Paul Molitor and Neil Allen, I think, to watch Mejia pitch, because he has such potential every time out there, and for him to fall behind guys and be pitching 3-1 and all the time, it's got to be frustrating, because if he could just figure that out, it's going to get really, really good.
To center, and Granite now comes in. They're keeping him busy today. 2 down. Well, his ERA in April, and granted just 3 starts, and he was experiencing butterflies and probably 10 or 12 other things as he was in the rotation coming out of spring training. His ERA in April 5.79. Then in May 3.75. In June 4.20, and in July 3.47. You throw out April's ERA, and his overall numbers are very, very good.
Yes, he's been very, very good since those first 3 starts, and I think Neil Allen has played a major role in that.
Foul pop, and Sano will have no play.
Neil changed his delivery. We'll take a look at his delivery here on the next pitch. He's really shortened up, little short stride, and go directly to the plate. When he first came up, he would step back off the rubber and kind of bow his back towards center field. Of course, we're not going to see, he's not in the windup right now, but we'll take a look at it a little bit later. But he's really shortened up and smoothed out his delivery, has Neil Allen, and that's made a big difference.
Strike 2 called to Brugman. Base hit to right, another hit on an 0-2 pitch. Davis's double leading off the first inning was on an 0-2 pitch. Now the number 9 batter keeps the inning alive.
And sometimes wildness, inability to command, doesn't just mean that you're not throwing the ball over the plate. Sometimes it's throwing strikes where you really don't need them to be or mean them to be. This 0-2 against a left-hander, he just kind of hangs a breaking ball down and in, where it's kind of in the wheelhouse of most left-handers.
See Castro setting up down and away outside the strike zone, and it was left over the inside edge.
That's what you want to do with 0-2 as a pitcher. You want to, you have almost a free pitch. Can you do a couple of things to either get a hitter out or set up the next pitch?
Davis doubled and scored in the first inning. And fouled over the Twins dugout. 1 strike.
So with an 0-2 count, a pitcher's thought ought to be, first of all, can I get a hitter to chase? Breaking ball there. Castro, as you said, Dick, wanted the ball out, down and away. Maybe you get the left-hander to chase it for a strikeout. Or you throw something that is the exact opposite place of where you want to get him out with the 1 and 2 pitch. But have some strategic thing.
Knocked down by Mauer, and Mejia late to the bag. Great stop by Mauer, cutting that ball off, and Mejia, who has been late covering first before, now he's got a speedy runner, Davis. He might not have gotten there anyway. But Mauer's stop of that hot ground ball at least kept Alonso from scoring in that at bat.
Number 10, Marquez.
It definitely did. Brian Dozier was going to be nowhere near this ball. He gets jammed a little bit, but Joe makes a terrific play, and then Mejia, as you say, late to the bag. I don't think he's going to get him. Davis more than likely is going to beat a pitcher to the bag there in that particular play. Yeah, he's late.
He hesitated a little bit. And now Mejia suddenly has the bases loaded with 2 down. Here's Marcus Semien. Fastball away, ball one. Leadoff walk, then a couple of pop-ups. And Brugman on an 0-2 pitch single. Davis with an infield hit. The tying run's 90 feet away. Semien lined to Granite his first time up. Two and 0. Foul back. Mejia reaching back for 93. It's about the top end for him. At least it is here in July. Might have seen 94 a time or two earlier in the year.
We'll see if he can get himself out of this jam, and it's almost self-induced here. He really can't be spectating on the mound on a ball hit to the right side. He's got to get better at that. He's made that mistake several times already. See if he can get out of this.
Foul tip, and that took a bite out of Castro. 2-2. Castro took the glove off like that might have gotten him in the wrist or bent the glove hand back.
Yeah, I couldn't tell, but these catchers get beat on, boy.
He has fought back to even the count to Semien. And a breaking ball is tapped foul. So here we are, 41 pitches into the outing, and Mejia is looking for his 6th out. That's kind of what the issue has been, about 20 pitches per inning. And his average start less than 5 innings. Another 2-2 to the Oakland shortstop. Full count with Ryan Healy on deck.
Got to make a pitch here. You don't want to pitch to Healy.
Everybody running on 3-2. Pulled foul. Semien sitting on the fastball, and he hooked it wide of the third base line. Three and two again to Semien. Fly ball, actually a pop-up, and Sano near the third base bag and foul ground makes the catch. The A's load him up and don't score in the second. Exactly what happened last night in the second inning. Sports North is presented by Northland Ford. Visit buyfordnow.com and your local Northland Ford dealer today. By Grand Casino, the best stories start here. And by Menards. Save big money at Menards on all your home improvement needs. Each team left the bases full in the second inning. The difference is the Twins got a couple in the second inning and lead it 2-1. Mauer, Escobar, and Rosario will face Chris Smith in the third. Off the plate, ball one to Mauer. He hit a pop up to the third baseman Chapman to wrap up the first inning. Two and 0. Both pitchers struggled with their control in the second inning. Smith walked a couple. And Mejia walked the leadoff man. There's a strike, 2-1. It's witches and wizards night here at the ballpark. So there's your look at Joe Mauer. Jake and Teresa are here. I'm sure they're thrilled to see their son displayed that way.
They're arguing about which one of them he looks like.
2-2. Mauer with a big defensive play that might have kept the Twins in the lead. Remember that great diving stop he made that would have scored Alonso, and it turns out the A's didn't score in that inning. Kind of see the resemblance.
I'm just getting a base kick out of watching Joe play first base this year. He's playing it as well as you can play the position, I think, and been really, really good to watch.
And now a full count. Escobar on deck. And Joe takes a leadoff walk in the third. "13 batters have come to the plate. Smith has only retired 6 of them.
Eduardo
Escobar on the first pitch of the second inning, single to right, came around to score on Granite's single. Strike called on the outside corner.
So what we all talk about is wanting consistency from an umpire behind the plate.
Right.
That pitch right there, if that's a strike, then the one to Alonso is a strike from Mejia.
1-1. Tom Hallion, Phil Cuzzi, Vic Carapazza, and Mark Ripperger. There have been strikeouts tonight, but no called third strikes. That's when you know Tom Hallion's in the game. Foul back. All the strikeouts have been swinging strikeouts. One and two to Escobar. Now 2-2. Each team with 4 hits. Twins saw their first 5 batters reach in the second inning when they scored a couple of runs. A high fly to right. Coming in is Davis, and he makes the catch one away. And before Rosario's at bat, you can join us Saturday, August 5th for the Women's Baseball Experience. Twins clinicians and members of the coaching staff will be providing instruction at Target Field. Participants will get the full experience of what it's like being a Major League Baseball player without the per diem. To learn more and register today, visit twinsbaseball.com/women's clinic. Here's Eddie Rosario. Rosario drew a walk and scored in the second inning. Outside, ball one.
We'll see how this turns out, Chris Smith against Eddie Rosario. I just don't think that Chris Smith has the pitches or the style to get Eddie Rosario out. This should be the kind of guy that Eddie Rosario ought to handle.
Anthony's 1-1.
I can see his fastball changeup combination getting in Max Kepler's head a little bit and messing with Miguel Sano a little bit. Rosario not so much in my mind. We'll see.
A high foul fly. Back in the seats, 1-2.
You can see how they want to pitch Eddie. The catcher stood up again and high. He went high inside fastball. So the combination from Chris Smith is going to be fastballs up and in, and then that changeup. They think they can throw it by. They can tie Eddie up and in. Now they're going to come down and in either with probably breaking ball or changeup. A little slider, a little curveball of some kind.
And good take by Rosario. It's 2-2.
So the sequence so far, he throws a changeup outside, then gets back ahead with a fastball, tries to come up and in to get him in a hurry, and then come back with something soft. So now he's going to go back away again with a fastball speed.
And now full count.
And here's where, if you're a hitter, you think you've worked the count back to 3-2, and you've worked into a fastball count, but it's not necessarily so. He's got just as good a chance of seeing a changeup here as he does fastball.
A few weeks ago, working with Torrey Hunter, he said he hated hitting with a full count.
Yeah.
Hated it.
Yep, you just have no idea. It's got to be just a two-strike kind of approach.
Tap foul. And Alonso catches the foul ball and then has to heave it into the stands to get it to a fan because there's so much foul territory here. Full count. Maurer was off on the 3-2 pitch to Rosario.
Paul Molitor also thinking that Chris Smith stuff should not strike Eddie Rosario out, so he's letting Joe go ahead and go. It's like a hit and run if it's a strike.
Popped up left side. Bruce Davis comes in, making the catch, out number 2. And we'll bring up Robbie Grossman. Grossman on the first pitch of his second inning at bat laid a beautiful bunt up the line. It never touched the grass. It just kept rolling in the dirt in fair territory. He got a bunt single. And a strike on the outside corner. Six home runs on the year for Grossman. They've all come from this side of the plate. 1-1.
We were talking about that last night. It's surprising to me, and I think even to Robbie. Always, his whole life, been a better right-hand hitter than left-hander. Has had more power, and yet to hit one.
A foul ball. Only one infielder over there. And it's back over the tarp anyway.
None of the Twins hitters look very comfortable against Chris Smith, and it's not very complicated. Spotting a fastball inside and outside, and throwing a changeup, and then spotting a fastball, and maybe throwing 2 changeups in a row, depending on the hitter. Not great stuff, but a good back and forth action between fastball and changeup.
Pitch is up, and it's 2-2.
86 miles an hour fastball, 74 mile an hour changeup. Pretty good arm action on the change, so that it looks like fastball coming with his arm speed.
And now 3-2. Mauer will take off again with 2 outs. Granite on deck. Outside corner, and there's Hallian's called third strike call. Grossman disagrees. Twins lead it 2-1, and you're watching Twins baseball presented by State Farm. Win game 2 of the series. Scary moment last night. Our Sanford Health injury report. Robbie Ray hit by a line drive last night. Suffered a laceration, but suffered a concussion as well. Had to be helped from the field. He was hit in the not in the face area. That part is good, but still suffering a concussion. He's on the 7-day disabled list. That happened in St. Louis. And it's frightening every time you see that.
Yeah, it's really frightening.
Did you ever hit one up the middle and get a pitcher up around the shoulders or the head area?
No, I hit a pitcher once that somewhere else that took him out of the game. Actually, out of baseball. It was seriously. It was not good. Yep. Mike Parrott, Seattle Mariners back in the 70s, playing at the Old Met. I hit a one-hop bullet and he was not wearing a cup. And
oh no.
Yeah, it was. It was sickening, really. I mean, it just wasn't good.
1-1 to Ryan Healy.
It's scary to be standing that close to the pitcher when he's throwing hard, and pitcher be standing that close to hitter when they hit the ball so hard.
I'm gonna miss. I wear one up here.
Well, it's a joke. I mean, when we're watching the game of the week.
1-2 to Healy. Davis and Lowry will follow. Pulled foul. Twins took 2 out of 3 from the A's in Minnesota. The one game they did not win was started by Jarrell Cotton, who will start tomorrow for the A's in place of Sonny Gray. Technically, he's being pushed back a day, but we all know why. The trading deadline is midday on Monday, and if he makes a start Monday, it might not be with the A's. nubbed, and Mejia has plenty of time and throws to Mauer, one away. Chris Davis, the batter. And the Twins, who a week ago were buyers of acquiring
Now batting left fielder,
Jaime
number
Garcia.
2, Chris
And then by the time
Davis.
Garcia was actually able to throw a pitch for the Twins, the complexion of the division race and the wild card race changed. Twins had a modest 4-game losing streak, and ordinarily those aren't crippling. But we showed you earlier what the Indians and Royals have done. The Royals now leading Boston at Fenway Park 8-6.
Boy, the Royals are hot. Man, they're playing really, really well, as are the Indians.
Fouled back by Chris Davis. And we don't know what the A's are going to do, but it will be the direct opposite of what they did 3 years ago. It was 2014. They had the best record in baseball, and then they broke up the band to bring in more pitching, and it did not work. That was the year the A's were loaded with great starting pitching, but all they could do is get into the wild card, and the Royals beat them in the wild card game, went all the way to the World Series. But they traded the fulcrum, if you will, of their lineup, Yoenis Cespedes, to bring in John Lester and Johnny Gomes, and earlier brought in Jeff Samardzija. And they went for it, basically, is what it was. They felt that they had enough power in the lineup to withstand the loss of Cespedes, and turns out everybody kind of leaned on him in the middle of the lineup.
Well, Cespedes was their cleanup hitter, and Donaldson was just establishing himself as an offensive player, and they had
Derek Norris was part of Stephen Vogt.
But it was Cespedes that was the day in, day out, carry the club kind of guy.
Right.
And that's what they just didn't realize when he left. The offense kind of fell apart.
The center, and Granite has plenty of room out there. And that's out number 2. Mejia trying to put together a 1-2-3 inning. Tuesday, the Twins' West Coast swing continues in San Diego in a game you can only see on FS1. It starts Tuesday at 8:30 p.m. on FS1, or watch it live on Fox Sports Go. In one of the few games Fox Sports North won't be televising. Instead, it'll be on Fox Sports 1. Jed Lowry, the batter, he hit a fly ball to Granite his first time up. Fouled away. Well, Mejia would love to have a 1-2-3 inning. He's thrown 55 pitches, 37 strikes. So that's a strike percentage in the upper 60s, which is really good. One of his better outings in terms of throwing the ball over the plate. We've seen that more and more from him. There was a start against the Orioles that didn't go particularly well. 4 earned runs in 6 2/3 innings, but generally it's been a run or 2 allowed in 5 or 6 innings.
And you see this little quiet step back here to get his windup started. That's what we were talking about.
2-out single for Lowry, and Mejia won't have a 1-2-3 inning.
He used to have, we're talking about Mejia's delivery, he used to have a big step back and rock way back. Now he just gives just a little change of weight from one leg to the other, and then try to get it all going at the strike zone. That's been a change that Neil Allen, that man right there, has made, and it really coincides with him pitching an awful lot better. And as we were saying before, he just needs consistency in the release point. Needs to find a delivery that allows him to deliver the pitches that he's got in the same arm angle and the same release point time after time. That's what Neil's trying to get him to do.
Pulled foul. The thing Mejia does, he changes speeds well, he changes location well. When you watch it from the center field camera, and we don't have the best angle or center field camera here, but when we get to target field, you'll see it. The ball comes out of his hand, and this is to the untrained eye like mine. The ball gets 2/3 of the plate toward the plate. One strike to Alonso. And it seems like it is very unpredictable as to where it's going to end up, because The changeup fades away from a right-handed batter. The slider breaks down and in to a right-handed batter. You can track it most of the way to home plate and still not know exactly where it's going to end up. That's got to be a good thing for a pitcher to have.
That's an excellent thing, and that's why we're talking about the consistency of delivery and release point, because the more consistent you are, the more that's going to happen. It's very difficult for a hitter. A hitter is following the action of the arm. So as the pitcher strides toward the plate and brings his arm through toward the plate to deliver the pitch, the hitter's watching his arm and his hand, and if it's always the same, kind of like Zach Granite's swing, if it's always the same but different things happen, that's difficult.
And a strikeout of Alonso, and Lowry stranded at first. Through 3, the Twins have a 2-1 lead. Twins leading 2-1.
Ryan Healy in the first inning caught up with a Mejia fastball, hit a double down the left field line, scoring Rajai Davis, who had doubled to lead off the bottom of the first. But Zach Granite came right back in the second inning for the Twins with the bases loaded, delivered a single to left center to score 2, and that's where we stand right now as we head here with Granite leading off the top of the 4th. It's 2-1.
Granite leading off. He has pitched well. Granite squares and takes ball 1. When Byron Buxton rejoins the team, and it is all dependent on him getting through tomorrow's game in good shape, it might very well be Zach Granite is sent down to Rochester, but it won't be because he hadn't made an impression up here or adjusted his game to the big leagues. Swing and a miss, and it's 1-2. And he got a base hit his first time up, drove in the 2 Twins runs. He's hitting .283. Other than the throw and the final game of the Dodgers series, he's played flawlessly in center field, covered a lot of ground out there.
Well, he's got some big hits. He's driven in some really big runs after he started out one for something in the teens, really struggling at first, and then he's really come on. And that's what I was saying earlier. It's sometimes roster issues just get players. It's not what they do. It's where they are in with the roster situation.
That drive to center. Brugman going back, and that is caught on the run. Granite hit that ball a long ways to center field, but Brugman tracked it and won away. Castro coming up next, but first let's go to Audra Martin.
Guys, it's time for the big story, and it is another win for the Dodgers. Today, Cody Bellinger leading the way, driving in both runs in the 2-1 win over the Giants. If you are keeping track, they've now won 18 of their last 20 games and are a whopping 42 games above 500. Not too shabby at all, guys.
And a whopping 13 games ahead of a really good Arizona club. Thank you, Audra. Diamondbacks are playing right now. Looks like they're going to win. Here's a ground ball off the bat of Castro, and the shortstop Semien throws him out. The Diamondbacks look like they're going to win, and it's 7-1 in the 9th inning in St. Louis. Starting play today, the Diamondbacks 15 games above 500 and 13 games out of first.
Yeah, that's crazy stuff. And the Dodgers are just an elite team. They win 2-1 today. They can win 12-1 and 2-1, or 12-10 and 2-1. They can outslug you and they can outpitch you. They play good defense. It's just a really, really good team.
Here's Dozier, singled in the first, reached on a fielder's choice barely in the second, and he takes strike one.
In case in point, the Twins played the Dodgers really, really well. Played them tough in LA. They were one pitch in one game and one throw in another game away from potentially winning 2 of the 3.
0-2.
And end up winning none of them. That's what happens when you're playing a really good team, especially at home. The Dodgers don't lose at home much. They don't lose much, but they really don't lose at home.
They're 46-13 right now. Like 800 baseball.
Yeah.
0-2 to Dozier, and he takes a ball 1-2.
Smith is interesting. First few times here he's been fastball changeup. Now all of a sudden he's throwing a little breaking ball more often.
Off-speed pitch up and in, and it's 2-2.
Well, you say it's an off-speed pitch. That's his fastball, 84 miles an hour. He's 84 to 86. That's what we've seen. We're used to seeing 84 mile an hour changeups from people. A little quick pitch.
Yeah. And fouled over the Twins bullpen. Fly ball center field. Easy play for Bruckman. And a 1-2-3 inning for Chris Smith. The Twins have a 2-1 lead. Weekend, they honor a broadcaster and award him the Ford Frick Award winner. And this year's winner is a longtime sportscasting legend here in the Bay Area. He did more than Oakland games. He did games for the Oakland Raiders, the Warriors, basketball, and posthumously, Bill King won the award today. His stepdaughter made the acceptance speech for him today. And Bill's signature phrase was Holy Toledo. Now Milo Hamilton, who's also a Ford Frick Award winner, said Holy Toledo. And then, of course, we had Halsey Hall, who coined the phrase, we think, Holy Cow. But in New York, they give the edge to Phil Rizzuto for saying Holy Cow. Matt Chapman leading off the 4th inning. Bob Melvin grew up in the Bay Area, the Oakland manager, and he talked before the game today about his memories of Bill King calling Warriors games, and then of course Oakland games as well. Bill passed away a few years ago and was one of the great characters in the sportscasting realm. And as Bob Melvin said, a bit biased because he grew up listening to him, but he says he really was one of the legends of all time in any sport. One of the best sportscasters anywhere in history. Chapman, Lavarnway, and Brugman hitting in the 4th inning.
It's a shame we don't get to hear guys like that around the country.
And Chapman strikes out, 1 away.
And I grew up with Vin Scully and baseball and Chick Hearn and Laker basketball. And some really great ones.
Follow Twins Baseball live
Now
at
batting the catcher,
MLB.com
number 30, Ryan
Stay connected to the
Lavarnway.
game's best players all season long with game day, live game video highlights, radio broadcasts, stats, news, and more. Download MLB.com at bat today, your #1 app for live baseball. Here's Lavarnway, hit a fly ball to Granite his first time up. Up and away, ball 1. Of course, years ago, Herb Carneal won the Ford Frick Award for his outstanding baseball announcing career. And the legends in the upper Midwest. Ray Christensen, who passed away this past off season. Al Shaver with the North Stars. Fouled away. Did you get a chance to, did you overlap at all with Halsey Hall as a broadcaster?
Just barely. Just barely. When I first got traded to the Twins back in 1976, Halsey was still there at the very end of his career. He was still doing a little bit, but mostly he was just kind of around. What a wonderful man.
Swing and a miss. And the count goes to 1 and 2.
Everybody has a great story about Halsey. I've got my own. You remember the runway at the old Metropolitan Stadium from the upstairs clubhouse down the runway to the dugout?
I don't, but
there?
yeah.
Well, not dissimilar to how the Metrodome runs stairs down to the field
Right.
level. The clubhouse was up a ways, but there were no stairs. It was just a long rubber matted runway down to.
I hope they had a mat on it with guys wearing metal spikes down that ramp.
Yeah, it was all rubber, but it was pretty good walk down there. And for Halsey, it was a long way. He was older, and it took him a while. But Halsey loved raw onions. And one time he would start at the top, chewing on a raw onion, and make his way slowly down that runway all the way to the dugout. I opened the door one time and almost fell over. That onion smell was in there for about 40 minutes.
Onions and cigars.
Oh man!
Outside, and now it's 3 and 2 with 1 gone in the 4th. It was in his book. Herb Carneal said of Halsey, nothing that Halsey enjoys better than the smell of a good cigar. Unfortunately, those aren't the kind he smokes. Full count to Ryan Lavarnway. And another foul. Of course, I didn't get a chance to meet Halsey, but I watched him and listened to him for years. And I think everybody in Twins territory got a chance to listen to him would say the same thing. He gave you the immediate impression that there was no place on earth he wanted to be other than at the ballpark on that given day or night.
Yeah, absolutely.
He loved being at the ballpark.
Yes,
and
he
that
did.
came across on the air. Full count to Lavarnway. The pitch count mounting for Mejia. He's looking for his 11th out of the night with 72 pitches thrown. Again, the strike to ball ratio really good, 2-1. And now a walk puts him aboard with 1 out in the 4th. Second walk issued by Mejia, and that'll bring up Jacob Brugman.
Now batting center fielder, 38, Jacob Brugman.
Well, this is kind of the way Mejia pitches. It's kind of everywhere, all over the strike zone and all around the strike zone.
Brugman singled on an 0-2 pitch his first time up. A bullet to Dozier, and there'll be no double play. The ball scalded right at the second baseman. 2 down. That'll bring up Rajai Davis.
This don't make no sense, Sean. I hope I bring you glory on this one, Father. Help me now.
Now batting right fielder.
2 hits already tonight for Davis.
Rajai Davis.
A double on an 0-2 pitch in the first, and then he got a single in the second. It was a hard ground ball. Twins playing Davis to pull. There's only one infielder who could make a play on it, and it was Mauer, about halfway between first and second. Caught the hot ground ball with a diving stop, and that kept the A's from scoring in that inning and kept the Twins in front 2-1.
And he was late covering first there. We don't know if he could have recorded it out with the speedy Davis running.
And Mauer looks at the foul ball as it disappears into the seats.
But I will tell you that the manager in particular, the pitching coach to some degree, when they see a pitcher late covering first, even if their response, their comment to the pitcher is going to, after the game, we'll never know. We won't know. You could have been out of that inning, and you can't be spectating on the mound. The ball hit to the right side. You have to get over there.
Third hit for Davis, and the A's are putting together a threat again after the second out. First and second, 2 down. That'll bring up Semien.
Now batting shortstop.
Semien left the bases full, fouling out to Sano in the second inning.
Seen a lot of that today. He has thrown a lot of strikes, but a lot of them have been right there, kind of mid-thigh to belt high in the middle or just one side or the other of the middle. A lot of balls right there to be hit.
A's out hitting the Twins 6-4. They've already left 5 men on. Inside, ball 1. Now 2-0. It might be a chicken or the egg argument, but Mejia is very deliberate out there to begin with. And along with that, the Twins want him to be more aggressive and pitch ahead on the count. Now he's done a better job of that here tonight. But nothing seems to happen easily or quickly for him. Ground ball to second, and Dozier fields and throws, and the A's do indeed leave 2 more on in the fourth. It's a 2-1 Twins lead. 3, but only were charged with 2. Throw across the diamond by Semien. Semien not charged with an error on that, but then there was an error on Lavarnway for not holding the throw. And it's been a chronic issue for the Oakland A's. Even when time was called, they found a way to throw the ball into the outfield. They're on a pace to commit 137 errors. Our Coors Light cold hard facts. They have allowed the most unearned runs in baseball. The White Sox, not coincidentally, are second in errors and second in unearned runs allowed. So we move to the 5th in a 2-1 ball game, and Max Kepler hoping to put a ball in play and get a base hit. He's already off to a better start. He has struck out twice, swinging on 6 pitches, and now he's taken ball 1. 1-1.
So whatever Max is looking for, there was a little change up there that he took, and so I'm assuming that Max is looking for a fastball. He needs to stay on it until he gets to 2 strikes. He can't see it's. Well, he did roll it through there. Good for him. That's the. But you can tell that the back and forth, the fastball and the changeup has got Max off both pitches. He was out in front of changeup, behind fastballs, and when a guy's got a fastball changeup like this that he can throw any pitch at any time, you have to pick out one or the other, one speed or the other, and be really aggressive until you get 2 strikes on that speed. 2 times in a row, and this is the 3rd time, and Max is lucky enough to get a hit, but you see here he's waiting on changeup and gets the ball almost thrown by him. Fortunately, they were swung around, prepared for him to pull the ball, and he was able to sneak it through the infield.
Sano with a strikeout and a chopper to 3rd.
And the same thing for Sano. He should be looking for something soft.
Up and in, ball 1.
When a pitcher's likely to throw any speed at any pitch, you have to just pick a speed until you get 2 strikes. You have to just pick a speed and stay on it. Otherwise, you could be wrong every pitch and just keep going back and forth and back and forth.
Sano's average down to 268. And now 2-0.
You see where the catcher's set up for that fastball. He wants to throw soft stuff to Sano, and if he throws a fastball, it's way outside on the outside corner. Perfect pitch. He's going to go out there again.
Foul back. And Sano's going to get a new. No, he's going to.
Yeah,
get some grip on his handle.
He needs some grip. He stayed on the fastball there. To his credit, he was on the fastball. He got it. He just missed it. That was a real mistake. They were trying to go outside in the outside corner. He let the ball tail right back over the heart of the plate, and Sano missed it. Right there. That's, 86 miles an hour right there.
Now 3-1 with Mauer on deck. It's been 10 days since Sano's hit a home run.
This is tough on the hitter too. Torrey Hunter talked about not liking hitting 3-2. 3-1. You don't know that you're going to get a fastball here from a guy like this.
A drive to right. Davis back at the warning track. Gone. A home run. To the opposite field. Sano makes it a 4-1 ball game.
And that's the way this big man ought to hit. He has so much strength there, so as not to be beat on a changeup. He's waiting on the fastball, letting it get up there on the plate, back on the plate, gets the big end of the bat on the ball, and hits it right field. So there's changeup, fastball he missed, little breaking ball, and then he comes with a high outside fastball. Now watch how long he waited. He wasn't trying to pull that ball. He was waiting to make sure he didn't get fooled on a changeup. And when you have power when you can hit the ball out of the ballpark to right field, why are you in a hurry to hit the ball out to left? Good for him. That's what he needed. That's what the Twins needed.
24th home run of the year. 70 runs batted in. And now 1-0 to Mauer. It'll pop up to 3rd and drew a leadoff walk in the 3rd. Both the Royals and Indians have a late 1-run lead. Now Bauer drives it to the left field corner, but that's got some slice to it. It's about 8 feet foul. 1-2. Kansas City 8-7 in the 8th at Fenway Park. Cleveland 5-4 in the 9th in Chicago. This one might stay fair. It's tracked by Davis, and he makes the catch in the corner, 1 away. And that'll bring up Escobar.
Number 5, Eduardo Escobar.
Escobar single on the first pitch of the 2nd inning and scored on Granite's single, and he hit a fly ball to right. Pitch is up, ball 1. Another one hit to left. And Davis has an easier play. 2 down. That'll bring up Rosario. Partial season ticket packages are still available in the Delta Sky 360 Club and Catch. Become a Twins season ticket holder today. Become part of the Sweet Spot program. Learn more at twinsbaseball.com or by calling 800-33-TWIN.
Number 20, Eddie Rosario.
Eddie Rosario with a walk and a run scored and a fly ball to left. To left center and deep. Brugman chasing it, but that ball is high off the wall. Played well by Brugman, and Rosario goes in with a double.
Once again, Eddie Rosario showing his terrific power to the opposite field. Don't see many left-hand hitters that hit the ball as consistently hard and long to the opposite field as Eddie Rosario does. Little changeup he waits on, gets full extension, drives it to left center. And the new weird wall, not new I guess, but the weird wall out there gets him. The higher fence that they put out there in the gaps.
Grossman with a bunt single, strikeout looking, ball 1. The A's will soon be the only tenants here. The Raiders are moving out of Oakland to Las Vegas. And there is renewed optimism that the A's will get a new ballpark. They just have not settled on a location. It might be here. I don't know where they play while this site was being torn down and sterilized and rebuilt.
This is not a sophisticated place.
1-1 and 2-1. This situation here and the situation in St. Petersburg is pretty much untenable for Major League Baseball. And the hope is that they can keep this team here in Oakland. And Grossman takes low, 3-1, Granite on deck. As this franchise moved here from Kansas City. And Kansas City was without a franchise for a couple of years before the Royals were created in 1969, along with the Seattle Pilots, who became the Brewers. And Grossman lifts it foul, 3-2.
It'd be good for them to have a new ballpark and have some excitement in this area. You know, the Athletics are a storied franchise, both relatively modern times and in before. I mean, the Philadelphia Athletics were phenomenal club, and A's are here, have won 4 World Series, 3 in the 70s, and then in '88.
Grossman drives it to center. Brugman going back, and he makes another running, leaping catch. Twins hitting some balls hard here in the 5th. Nobody hit it harder or farther than Miguel Sano. His 2-run home run made it a 4-1 ball game.
Big hit, much needed by the Twins and that big man.
7, Joe Mauer.
Mountain Dew fans of the game enjoying a 4-1 Twins lead after a win last night. Twins won the opener 6-3. Hope to get back to the 500 mark at 51-51. Ryan Healy will lead off the 5th against Adalberto Mejia, who'd like to have a 1-2-3 inning. 1 strike. Healy, Davis, and Lowry, the 3, 4, and 5 batters for Oakland. And up and away, 1-1. Seems odd to see a Oakland first baseman wear number 25. Always think of Mark McGwire. Short right field, down the line, and that ball drops. Kepler's throw on a hop, and there was nobody at the bag. It'll be a Texas League double for Healy. Kepler got the hop and threw a pretty good throw to second, but Escobar wasn't at the bag.
Now batting
I'm
left
not
fielder,
exactly sure
number 2.
what he was doing there, because if he wasn't going to be on the bag, then he should have been lined up, I guess, for a throw to third. But
could see 3 infielders on the left side, and Mauer almost was in position to make that catch.
Eduardo just didn't get to the bag. He was playing way over in pole position and just didn't get there.
Now Chris Davis with a runner at second, nobody out. Low, ball 1. Third inning out of 5 where the A's leadoff man has reached. Second time they've gotten a leadoff double. Happened in the first inning, and they scored their lone run so far. Bouncer. And Escobar has time to fire to Mauer, 1 away, and Healy's still at second. And that'll bring up Lowry. Josh Smith, Ryan Dull getting loose in the Oakland.
Second baseman, number 8, Jed Lowry.
Smith, Josh Smith, perhaps coming in relief of Chris Smith, who has given the A's 5 innings. Now, when you first came out here as a player, your career, you got to the Texas Rangers when? What year was that?
75.
Okay, so they were kind of at the tail end of their dynasty here, but did you enjoy coming out here to play?
Oh, yeah. Gosh, yes. It was playing again. They had all the same guys for the most part.
Right.
You know, that won those 3 straight World Series. And so you really felt like you were in the big leagues. Vida Blue and Catfish Hunter and Blue Morona would be, you know, face those guys.
Out in front of the changeup again, and it's 0-2.
Could be a pretty quick 0 for 12.
And go down to Anaheim, face Nolan Ryan.
Frankton, Anaheim. Yeah, it's a fun trip. Fun West Coast swing. But, you know, they had Sal Bando and Campy Campaneris and Reggie and Joe Rudy, Bill North. They had all the guys.
2 strikes to Lowry. Inside, and it's 1-2.
It's hard to say. I think this is an important at bat right here for Mejia. If he can, Jed Lowry's a tough out, but if he can get Lowry here, he's got the left-hand hitting Alonso, who does not hit left-handed pitchers well. This out right here could be the one that gets him out of the inning. This is the tougher out of the next 2 outs he's got to get.
Back to Mejia. He looks the runner back and sets himself and gets the out at first. 2 down, and now Alonso will hit.
This was a well-pitched at bat right here for Mejia. He was really good spots in the strike zone, as you can see, until that last one was up. Lowry kind of throws his bat away in disgust. He got a pitch that he felt like he should have hit, but that ball had a little late life to it also, and he hit over the top of it. Now you just got to keep it going. You have to punish this guy. He doesn't hit left-handers well. You've got the stuff to get him out.
He walked him to lead off the second, and then struck him out in the third.
Make good pitches here, you get out of this inning.
Left a breaking ball up and in, and it was fouled back by Alonso.
Alonso kind of cocked his head there, said, yep, that was the one. That was one I could have hit. This one, again, he's thrown this pitch to left-handers a couple of times. Brugman got a base hit on it, 0-2 pitch, and that one stayed up. And lucky it didn't go a long way.
And a fastball that he swings and misses. Indians beat the White Sox 5-4. White Sox now have lost 14 of their last 15. They're 1-13 since the All-Star break. And the Red Sox have tied it up in the 8th inning against Kansas City. 0-2 to Yonder Alonso. Struck out on that pitch.
Yeah, much better
in the third inning, and he took that one.
Yeah, there's the kind of 0-2 pitch you want. He's made some 0-2 pitches with way too much of the plate, but that was a good effort there. That was a good try. That pitch right there sets up a lot of things. He can come in with a fastball, he can go away for a fastball, or he can go right back to that same down and away curveball.
Fouled back. The fastball at 93. I don't have any inside knowledge. Okay, it's just a hunch. Alonso's going to the Yankees.
Think so?
Yep, just a hunch. I think they'd rather have Alonso at first base than Chase Headley. Sonny Gray may go with him. Ooh, close pitch, 94, and where was it in relation to the outside corner?
Yeah, that looked like an awfully good pitch right there. But again, a pitcher's pitch, whether it was a strike or not, that's Alonso just couldn't hit it wherever it was. That was man.
The strike zone.
And as good as Castro is at framing pitches and catching pitches, he might have hurt that one a little bit.
A foul ball on an off-speed pitch. And this will be the 95th pitch now for Mejia as he tries to close up shop in the 5th inning.
And Castro talking to Hallian there about that pitch being a strike. But watch how Castro catches this ball. The ball moves so much he has to flip his glove around to catch it. And that might have influenced Hallian's thinking. It shouldn't, because that ball had so much of the strike zone. Castro is normally so good at receiving pitches and catching it in such a way as to make it look like a strike, make it look easy to catch. That ball moved so much, had a lot of life on it, it almost handcuffed Jason a little bit.
Two and two. Another foul on another fastball.
Alonso battling. We've said he doesn't, and it's statistically proven he doesn't hit left-handers well, but he's having a good at bat here, a good battle. Except that for the second time, he had him struck out and did not get the call.
Another 2-2. We'll step off the rubber. Only 8 pitches when he faced 6 men in the second, but the A's didn't score. To short left center. Down for a hit. Runner around third. Rosario overruns it. It's an RBI single and a great at bat for Alonso and a 4-2 ball game.
Great at bat with an asterisk. I thought it was pitched even better by Mejia than the at bat was by Alonso, and Alonso ends up taking advantage of the missed call and dunking one right off the end of the bat. That was a good pitch too. You have to give Alonso credit.
And now the tying run to the plate in Matt Chapman. Both times that the A's started an inning with a double, they've scored. Now the challenge for Mejia, get Chapman and complete 5 innings, keep the Twins in front by 2, and then perhaps turn the game over to the bullpen. To center, but Granite is there to end the inning. Couple of hits, an Oakland run. It's 4-2 Twins, and you're watching Twins baseball presented by State Farm.
Lottery winner's circle where you could win $100 worth of scratch-off lottery tickets, courtesy of the Minnesota Lottery.
Twins leading 4-2. And Ryan Dole, been awfully good for the A's the last couple of years, comes in for the 20th time this year, and he will face the leadoff man, Zach Granite, who takes outside, ball one. Granite with a 2-run single, and he hit a ball actually harder to center field, almost cleared the reach of Brugman in center, but Brugman made a nice catch. So Granite is 1 for 2, and the count now 1-1. Granite squares to bunt, takes ball 2.
You know, something I think might be the case with Zach Granite once he is permanently in the big leagues. I think that he's the kind of hitter with the stroke that we've talked about and shown a little bit tonight, that knowledge of the pitchers will just make him better and better. You know, some hitters that come up and they hit well, and then the league kind of figures them out, and they have to make other adjustments and those kinds of things, and they find the holes in a guy's swing. Zach might be a little different than that. He might just benefit from the more he sees pitchers. His swing is so, as we've said, is simple, and it's just very short and quick and not complicated. And I don't think he tries to do anything else other than what his swing is. And I think the most important thing for him is just getting around the league and seeing everybody and being able to anticipate some things. He's just reacting right now.
Base hit to right. He's hit 3 balls right on the nose.
Yeah, it's just such a pretty swing.
Leadoff single here in the 6th. There's an internal debate, of course, I'm sure, among Twins fans.
And look how quick this is. I mean, there's just nothing to it.
Now batting,
just hands come back, hands come straight at the ball. It's a little slightly down oriented swing.
With the premise that Granite belongs up here and not at AAA, then the debate among Twins fans, who at whose expense does he stay up here? With Kepler, Buxton, Rosario, the oldest of which is Rosario, 25 years old.
Right.
Here's Castro, a walk and the ground ball to short. See if the A's continue to pitch Jason away and see if he can maybe get another base hit to the opposite field. Granite takes off and out at second. A one-hop throw from LaVarnway. And Paul Molitor with his left arm extended and his left foot out of the dugout. It was a one-hop throw, and you know that as well. You feel that hop with your glove going up, and then it's kind of hard to bring that glove back down again.
I don't think it was a great slide by Zach. We'll take a look at it here again. Yeah, he got him.
Did he get the front leg?
I think he did. I think he slapped the tag down really, really well.
Well, I don't know.
I don't know. I could be wrong about that.
If he missed the front leg, I think he's safe.
Yep.
Sean Harlan on the other end of that phone conversation. Granite has come off the field. We'll see if the Twins challenge it. Does the front spike get touched?
Yeah, I think he got him on the calf there. He continues to the back leg, but I think
they're going to take a look at it, though.
I don't think there's enough there to overturn it. That might not be the right call, but I don't think they can overturn it. What I meant by Zach not having the best slide, it looked like he slid a little bit early and slowed down just a little. I thought he had, as he was heading to the base, I thought he had the base
under review.
So the call is out, and 3 different outcomes could result here. The call stands, which means there's not enough evidence one way or the other. The call is confirmed, which means that they got it right the first time, and the replays show that. Or it's overturned. Here's the look. Maybe this is the defining look. Does the left leg get touched?
Yeah, I think just barely.
And he is confirmed that he was thrown out. So Granite is thrown out.
Following the review,
there's one away, and Castro at the plate.
Confirmed.
6th inning, you're a little more apt
Now
to
batting,
take a
number
shot at
21,
it, because
Jason
in the 7th
Castro.
inning or later you can ask for a bonus challenge.
Right. Twins didn't have an awful lot to lose there. I thought that was a good try at it.
And the count to Castro, 1-0. Now he squares to bunt. I was just talking with him today about that with this shift on. And I said, you're going to get a bunt single. And he says, if I can stop bunting it back to the pitcher.
Yeah, but watch when we're going to show it to you again, and watch him start to move. He doesn't have to. The third base is playing as shortstop, and he's starting to move already. Square around like you're going to look. Sacrifice bunt to the third baseman. Square around, sacrifice bunt. Push it down there. See the ball bounce 3 times and then start running. I mean, there's no way you don't have to be in a hurry, and you don't have to bunt a bad ball.
Right.
You know, Rod Carew, I learned that from Rodney. I mean, Rodney would bunt like he was 3-1, like the count was 3, like he was sitting on a fastball pitch. And if he didn't get the bunt, get the pitch that he wanted to bunt, he'd take it.
2-2.
Even if it were a strike, just because he decided it was time to bunt, he wouldn't just automatically bunt whatever came up there.
Checked his swing, and Tom Hallion calls him out. 2 down. And that'll bring up Dozier. Join Brian Dozier and the Twins Target Field for Sportsman's Night Saturday, August 5th, as we celebrate Pheasants Forever's 35th anniversary. Each ticket purchased through this special theme night ticket package will include an exclusive blaze orange camo reversible Twins beanie. Plus a portion of each ticket will go to support Pheasants Forever. Learn more at twinsbaseball.com/sportsman's night. Dozier fouls the first pitch to the screen. Brian, an avid outdoorsman, duck hunter, deer hunter. One for 3 on the night, a single his first time up. One and one.
I keep thinking that one of these days, and as well as Brian has hit statistically since the break, I keep thinking that he's going to fall into that unconscious zone that we've seen him get into each of the last couple of years, where really special things happen on a nightly basis. He's one of those guys that could carry a ball club just single-handedly. Sano being the other one right now.
Chopped to third. And Chapman showing off a strong arm. And Dole faces just 3 men in the 6th.
Sports North is presented by Chevrolet, the #1 selling brand in the Twin Cities. And by State Farm, here to help life go right with the home and renter's protection you deserve. Alberto Mejia's earned run average for this game, 3.60. 2 runs allowed in 5. He's out of the ball game. He can pick up his 5th win.
Please, for the Athletics batting for the
bullpen that does its job, and the first man out of that pen is Tyler Duffy.
We'll see if Tyler Duffy can have a good inning here in the 6th and maybe even get the 7th.
There's Maxwell will be hitting for Lavarnwell. One of 3 bench moves for the A's. Swing and a miss, 1 strike. So Maxwell, Brugman, and then Davis. Foul back, 2 strikes. Second half of the year, well, really the month of July hasn't been real good for Tyler. He's given up 5 runs this month in 6 2/3 innings, 5 earned runs. Oh, 2 and a pitch left up.
Castro calling for the fastball up there. He has something in mind. 0-2, show him a fastball high and then come back with a curveball most likely. There it was.
And Tom Hallion rings up Maxwell, 1 down.
Your attention, please, ladies and gentlemen. Now
before Jacob Brugman's at bat, let's go to Andre Martin.
Well, guys, Twins coach Jeff Pickler describes Zach Granite as a strong New Yorker with an even stronger compass, meaning he has a great self-awareness and knows he has what it takes to be successful at this level. But Pickler says during spring training, he felt like that leadership aspect and taking control in center field might take some time for Zach to develop. But he says, I was wrong. He said that's actually clicked really quickly, especially over the last week and a half. And you got to give Zach credit considering how close-knit and the chemistry the other 4 outfielders had. He said that's a really tough situation for a young guy to come into. So he says, Zach won me over. Small sample size. I give him high marks in talent, but even higher marks in poise and confidence. Guys?
Thank you, Andre. I think we can see that at bat to at bat. You know, he just looks stoic, like this is no different than hitting in Chattanooga or Rochester.
I think it took him 15 at bats to be convinced of that. And once he was convinced of that okay, my plan, my ability plays up here. This is, and believe me, I can remember thinking the same thing when I came out of college, went to AA, and I think, well, AA baseball, these guys must be really good. They're 2 steps below the big leagues. And played my first few games, I thought
it's a fair ball, and Mauer will go to the bag. Eggman barely got out of the box, 2 down.
You know, I remember thinking, well, I could hit this stuff, you know, and everybody has to experience that at every level. That's why I'm just such a firm believer in conquering every level before you get to the big leagues. And that young man right there has conquered triple A. That's conquered. Yep. There's nothing more for him to prove down there.
2 down, and Davis, well, you know, depending on what the roster looks like on Tuesday when we start the Padres series. Davis with 3 hits tonight. And this isn't counting Robbie Grossman, who's also played all 3 outfield spots, but the Twins will have the other 4 candidates for outfield spots. All of them have spent considerable time professionally in center field. And it's one of the reasons the Twins outfield defense has been so good, because Kepler's played center. He's athletic enough to play center. We've seen Granite run all over the place in the last 2 weeks in center field, and Rosario's been out in center field as well.
The ball out in left field will take a minute to retrieve, and in the meantime, you're absolutely right. There's a lot of athleticism in the Twins outfielders, with the addition of Granite now, 4 really good defensive outfielders. And Robbie Grossman is certainly serviceable at the corner outfield for the offense that he brings. So they're in a good position.
1-1. And now 2-1 to Rajai Davis.
You know, the other thing about this is you notice that the teams that are good teams have built through the ability to have a lot of players in the organization, good players. And so they either bring up a bunch of good players or they are able to trade some good young players for the final piece.
Dozier charges and throws just in time to get Davis. And Duffy has a 1-2-3 inning as we head to the 7th. Twins up 4-2. The game, the Twins trying to make it 2 in a row.
Ryan Healy got the A's off on the right foot right away in the first inning after Rajai Davis had doubled. Healy hit a double down the left field line off Mejia for the first run of the game, but Zach Granite came back in the second with a bases loaded single to center field, put the Twins up 2-1. And then Miguel Sano in the 5th inning. Fastball up and out over the plate, using that strength to hit the ball out to the opposite field. The A's will get a run later. It's now 4-2.
Santiago Casilla, the erstwhile closer, pitching in the 7th inning for the A's, and Max Kepler takes a strike. Kepler 1 for 3, a couple of swinging strikeouts. And then he grounded a single through the open left side of the infield and scored in front of Sano's home run. Right off again of the bat. It's 0-2. Bruce Maxwell staying in. He'll do the catching for the rest of the game. Garcia has 16 saves. Bob Melvin is going to have kind of a bullpen with flexible roles, he says. Check swing. Kepler struck out now for the 3rd time tonight. 1 down, and that'll bring up Sano. Sano with a bouncer to 3rd, a swinging strikeout, in the opposite field home run.
Max just a little confused right now.
Miguel Sano.
Just not getting to the pitches that he should hit and out in front of the pitches that he shouldn't.
Fox Tracks brought to you by Carrier. Now here's Sano. With some dust in his eyes, maybe. Home run number 24, and RBI 69 and 70. Down and away, ball 1. Sano's home run just the 2nd on this road trip. And on the last 3 games, not counting today, the last 3 games, the Twins haven't scored a run after the 5th inning. There's a strike. It cost them at least one ball game against the Dodgers, and nearly cost them last night. See if the Twins can add some runs late in the ball game tonight. Nice to have them, whether you need them or not.
Yeah, it'd be nice to have some runs here. I'm not exactly sure that the A's are not having some decent at bats. Puts a lot of pressure on the bullpen, and you have to go 4 innings and give up 1 or fewer.
2-2. And Sano fouls it back. Twins hoping to win tonight, get to 500, and then get above 500. And if they get there, it would mean that all 8 professional teams in the Twins organization would have a winning record. From the major leagues all the way down to the lowest levels of professional ball, every team in the organization has a winning record right now, except the Twins. Bouncer, that's a foul ball. The lower 7 levels are a plus 91 in the 1-loss column, which is
that's a lot.
Pretty remarkable.
Yeah,
Chattanooga's just doing great in the Southern League. I think they're in the 16th inning tonight, but that speaks well of the organization that every team has a winning record. And we'll see if the major league club can get back there too for most of the year. Of course, the Twins have had a winning record. Another 2-2. Half swing, strike 3. And there are 2 down. And that'll bring up Mauer. See, he's got nasty stuff. There's a reason he's been a closer.
Yep, he's got a good fastball. We
Now
just saw a
batting,
real good breaking ball.
number 7, Joe Mauer.
More than a hit per inning pitched.
This is a good 2-strike pitch right here. Hard down in the way movement.
Second time Sano has struck out, and now Mauer 0 for 2 with a walk. Down and away, ball 1. I'm a big believer in the importance of winning for an individual player to be on winning teams in the minor leagues. In other words, learning how to win in the minors. Does that have any value once they get up here?
I think it has a great deal of value. I'm a big believer in that, and it's not just learning how to win, which is arguably that if that's the result, that's the most important thing. But it's just the expectation of winning. It's having a personality as a player that you're not satisfied with anything but winning. I think that's really important.
1-1. Now 1-2.
You know, guys can get used to losing. I hate to say that, but you can get used to a player, and sometimes a team can get used to losing, and they're trying hard and they want to win. And I'm not saying that the teams don't and players don't try to win or want to win, but there's a difference between a player that really expects to win and it eats them up if they're not winning, and guys that, well, we're doing our best and just not happening.
And eventually another 1-2 pitch to Mauer. And now 2-2.
So back to the success of all the teams in the Twins organization, I think it should be. I think it should be a real point of pride for everybody in the minor leagues at all levels. I think all the managers and coaches down there should be stressing the fact that they're a winning organization, and that to get to the big leagues, you got to show that you're a winning player. Those kinds of things. I think it's important.
3-2.
What's going on with that is that it looks like the Twins are making an attempt now to stockpile really good players as up and down throughout the organization, with the addition of a young left-hander, the Double-A closer that they got for John Ryan Murphy. Looks like those are the kind of people you have to have in the organization in order to either get them to the big leagues or get somebody else in here in a trade. But you have to have enough quality up and down the organization.
And Escobar will hit with Mauer aboard. Teams don't graduate from Chattanooga to
Number
Rochester
5,
to the big league.
Eduardo
You need individual
Escobar.
players in the system to make those jumps and succeed. And talked about Mitch Garver's name last night. The catcher is doing a great job for the Rochester Red Wings. Twins have been short on catching ever since they had both Wilson Ramos and Joe Mauer in the organization. Here's Escobar, 1 for 3, a single and a run scored, and now a drive foul down the left field line. In the 10th inning at Fenway Park, Kansas City and Boston tied at 8. If the Twins win and the Royals lose, there will be 3 games separating Kansas City and Minnesota. And the 2 teams play each other 6 more times.
There's a lot of opportunity, a lot of games left.
Kansas City carrying a 9-game winning streak into that game in Boston. Now a drive to right center field. That's down for a hit. Davis corrals it, fires towards second. Escobar will hold with a single, but he has chased Mauer all the way to third base. So now first and third, 2 down, and Rosario will bat. Rosario with a walk and a double.
Something
Now
like
batting,
a
number 20,
little off-speed
Eddie.
pitch of some kind. 88's not exactly a changeup, but it's not exactly a fastball either. I'm not exactly sure what that was, but Escobar puts a really nice swing on it.
Rosario 1 for 2, the average at 292. And back to the glove of the pitcher, and a flip to first ends the inning. 2-out walk and single do no damage. Bottom of the 7th, 4-2 Twins. But the Twins might be in position to pick up a sweep over the A's. Bartolo Colon, who pitched for Oakland, will face Jarrell Cotton instead of Sonny Gray, who's been pushed back a day. And then on Monday, he'll either pitch for the A's or whoever he is traded to. And Marcus Semien will lead things off in the 7th for Oakland. There's Colon. Both when the Yankees were in town, Joe Girardi talked about Colon and what a Great guy he was to have in the clubhouse. Bob Melvin said the same thing. So we'll see how Colon does in his third Twins start. Semien takes a breaking ball and strike one.
The Twins and Palmald are really hoping that Tyler Duffy can have a crisp, clean inning here in the 7th. Give him to the 8th. You know, the bullpen sets up nicely just in case. Buddy Boshear's in the Twins bullpen. We talked for better part of 2 games now about the A's offense struggling against left-handers, and it will be Boshear's if Tyler Duffy stumbles here at all.
Into center field, a leadoff hit for Semien. The leadoff man is on in the 7th.
Now batting designated hitter,
And
25,
Ryan Healy will bat.
Ryan Healy.
Liner out of the reach of Duffy. So the leadoff man is on. Healy with a pair of doubles in the game already.
Tyler not happy with that breaking ball. Left it up about belt high for Semien. Duffy has higher expectations of his curveball than that.
Strike one with Buddy Boshear's warming in the pen. Ground ball left side. They'll get 1, 2, a double play from the hole. Escobar to Dozier to Mauer, and a big double play here in the 7th inning.
Very nicely turned, and a really nice pick of a kind of a tough little hop right at the end. Here's something it's really hard to see, but middle infielders especially will watch it just a little bit of up hop there right at the end. Hit him kind of in the heel, but he stayed with it. Looks like they got him. Ooh, close.
And they're not going to challenge it. The strike call. I'm puzzled as to why the A's wouldn't challenge that. It looked clearly like he was safe. They haven't lost a challenge, I can't remember, have they?
On Dozier's play when they challenged.
Oh, that's
him.
right. Yep. But now it is in the 7th inning, and that's within the range of.
They can ask.
You can ask, and then umpires aren't obligated to. So it is a double play. And there are 2 strikes to Chris Davis.
And a nice, very nicely turned double play at that. Nice job by Escobar getting started, and a good relay from Bryant.
That foul, and then the bounce came up and hit Davis. Duffy's gotten 5 outs from 5 batters thanks to the double play.
Well, you get this guy out, and the A's are left-hander susceptible from here on. So this is a big out.
Oh, 0-2. Taken 1-2.
Good pitch out there. Good location. 0-2. Been talking about the 0-2 location all the night with Mejia. Duffy with that good curveball. Threw it in a real good spot. Come back in with a fastball.
Got him.
Got him away with a fastball.
6 up, 6 down for Duffy, thanks to a double play, and you're watching Twins baseball presented by State Farm. Big day for the Texas Rangers then. Ivan Rodriguez being inducted into the Hall of Fame. Beltre may all but punch his ticket to the Hall of Fame by getting his 3,000th hit. Josh Smith comes in to pitch to the Twins here in the 8th inning. Grossman, the first man he'll face. Down and in, ball 1. Chattanooga Lookouts in the 17th inning tonight. With 30 games above 500. That's pretty good, isn't it?
I think that's pretty good.
2-0. Grossman, Granite, and Castro. And Grossman takes a strike.
Bottom of the order for the Twins have been pretty good for the ball club lately. See if they can get a little insurance run here.
Bobbled momentarily by Alonso, and Grossman is nipped at first. The value of having a pitcher cover the bag there. Alonso had a little problem with it, but as he picked the ball up, the pitcher was right there, and Grossman just barely got clipped at first base.
Well, this is how you get over there. Ball hit to the right side. Get over there. So you got there just ahead. Very close play, just ahead.
Zach Granite will bat. A couple of hits tonight for Granite. Again, he's got 291 average. And strike 1. Hit the ball hard all 3 times.
Yep, that sweet little stroke. He just lets the ball get up there over the plate somewhere and drops the big end of the bat on it.
Down and in. 1-1. One and 2.
Little cut fastball there from Josh Smith. Looked like it was outside. I think Josh took it for being away, and then it Cut back over the outside corner.
Hey, let me backtrack, because I was reminded by a friend of mine on Twitter, and I double-checked on my rules here. The A's could not have challenged that call at first base only until the 8th inning. The 8th inning is the beginning of the additional challenge.
Of the ask.
Grounded to short. Semien has it. And over to Alonso, 2 down. And let's take a look at the T-Mobile Unlimited Baseball break. Gardner with a walk-off 9th inning single. The Yankees beat the Rays this afternoon.
Now batting,
76
21,
runs batted in now for Nelson Cruz.
Castro.
Miguel Sano has 70. Evan Gosman with an encouraging outing for the Orioles, and boy, do they need that. The Orioles got Jeremy Hellickson from the Phillies. And Dave Engel, former Twin, who's a scout for the Orioles, I was asking him about that for the game today, and he said the Orioles just need to take a look at some pitchers, because they've got a rotation to fill next year, and they have some resources available to them that might be able to re-sign Hellickson as a free agent. But it seems kind of a curious trade for the Orioles to give up some prospects to get Jeremy Hellickson when he's a free agent after this season. Castro with a swing and a miss, and it's 1-1.
A lot of teams, because of the wild card situation, a lot of teams find themselves in kind of a twilight zone, kind of an in-between that does not knowing which way to go. I certainly don't think the Orioles with that lineup, no further back than they are in the standings. I don't think they should pack it in. I mean,
we're 5 games below 500 now.
Right. I understand, but on the other hand, there's a lot of baseball left.
This one hooked down the right field line, and a fair ball. And Castro got a couple doubles down the left field line last night. Hooks one down the right field line for a 2-out double, and that'll bring Dozier to the plate with a man in scoring position.
Here's one of the problems for the Twins when they're not hitting home runs. We talked about them having a little bit of a hard time leaving guys on base, as we watch a really pretty swing from Castro. Kind of a classic breaking balls, cutter down and into a left-handed hitter. That's good wheelhouse for most left-handed hitters, and Castro hits it well. But Twins tend to get a lot of base runners with 2 outs after there's 2 outs in the inning, and that's what makes it difficult. You leave a lot of guys on base that way because you just don't get a lot of 2-out hits strung together.
They put 2 on after the 2nd out in the 7th.
Yep.
Here's Dozier, and he takes strike 1. Oakland bullpen being reconstructed with the trade of Ryan Madsen and Sean Doolittle to the Nationals. One and Dozier staring at a pretty wide open right side of the infield.
Twins are 2 for 8 with runners in scoring position tonight. Could really use a 3 for 9 here.
Check swing, and it's high. Mentioned earlier, no team in the league has left more men on base than the Twins. And an opportunity for them to score a late inning run, which has been an issue over the last 4 games.
I remember earlier this season, the Twins were hitting a lot of balls out of the ballpark, and that slowed down quite a bit, and that usually adds to that difficulty in or the statistic about leaving runners on base when you're getting a lot of singles, and especially when you're getting singles with or a lone 2-out double like Castro just hit. Those numbers really add up, and you really need to get some big hits.
Strike on the outside corner, 3-2.
Not to pitch Brian Warren with 3-1. Brian's looking for something from the middle end that he could drive now. That hole on the right side is open with 2 strikes. You don't know what you're going to get. You don't want to be too big here, meaning you don't have to pull this ball. Line it back up the middle of the right center.
Lifted foul over by the Twins bullpen. Smith to Dozier with Kepler on deck. The fastball got him. And Dozier strikes out. Castro stranded at second. It's still 4-2 as we go to the bottom of the 8th. For the Twins, and this is where we've normally seen Taylor Rogers. Instead, we'll see the other lefty in the Twins bullpen, Buddy Boshiers. Rogers had a difficult last couple of outings with a lot of hits and a lot of runs allowed. Last 3 outings going back to the Detroit series, a total of 2 innings with 6 runs, 5 earned runs, a couple of home runs, 5 hits and 2 walks. He's been used a lot. And so he didn't pitch Thursday. The Twins didn't have a game, didn't pitch last night. Apparently getting one more day here. Lowry will lead things off, then Alonso and Chapman. Down the left field line. And a foul ball by about 2 feet. The A's got a leadoff double in the first and scored. A leadoff double in the 5th and they scored. They've also had a leadoff walk and a leadoff single. And right away, Lowry made a bid for an extra base hit.
Ball just fouled, just missed a double, but we're talking about how Paul Molitor has the 8th inning set up here for left-hander Buddy Boshiers. Lowry, the first hitter, hitting .233 against lefties coming into the game tonight. Then there's Alonso, who was hitting .183, did get a base hit off of Mejia, but was .183. Then
strike 2 called on the outside corner. flipped foul. The Royals did lose to the Red Sox 9-8. If the Twins can hang on and win here, they'll be, as you said, just 3 games behind the Royals, and the Twins will be back to the 500 mark. 2 strikes to Lowry. One and 2.
So it's hard to talk about Paul Mahler's strategy. We got Lowry hitting .233 against left-handers as opposed to .270 something against right-handers. Then Alonso 183. Matt Chapman's only hitting $180 in the 3rd spot here in this inning. Then you have the catcher Maxwell, who's a left-handed hitter.
Popped up and out of play.
And only 1 right-hander on the bench in Adam Rosales. So the 2 innings by Duffy, very, very important to get to a spot where a left-hander and person here of Buddy Boshears that should have the advantage here in the 8th inning with hitters coming up for the A's. And then we'll see about closer Brandon Kinsler in the 9th.
One and 2. That Duffy was able to get 6 outs from 6 batters may keep Healy and Davis, the big power threats, from hitting in the 9th inning if Boshears does his job.
Yep. And you never know, but it's set up correctly with the odds in Buddy's favor.
And now full count. Boshears working ahead, but now running the count full. Saw the numbers, just 7 walks, one of those intentional in 25 2/3 innings. But pitching in the 8th inning is different than pitching in the 6th.
Yep.
And a leadoff walk. And Alonso will hit here as the tying run.
Now batting number 17.
Earlier in the at-bat, a foul back. And the guy and the adult kept it from the kid. Nice.
It's a baseball.
Here's Alonso. A walk, an RBI single, and a strikeout. Breaking ball fouled. Alonso's had a couple of those from
he has.
and now from Boshears. An elevated breaking ball, and he's fouled them both back.
Yep, this is a hanger. That's kind of the definition of one right there.
Down and away, 1-1.
Better one there, and a pretty good take by Alonso.
One from Boshears to Alonso. We spoke too soon. Taylor Rogers is up, having not pitched in the last couple of days. He's trying to get loose with Boshears issuing a leadoff walk.
Yep, worst case scenario for a manager is an 8th inning, 2-run lead, walk the first hitter.
Tap foul, 1-2. 5th time in 8 innings where the Athletics have gotten their leadoff man on. And he had completed 5 innings. And now he's the pitcher of record for the Twins. Alonso, an all-star, but hitting 6th in the lineup because the Twins started a left-hander. As Roy said, Alonso's really struggled against lefty. 2-2. Dug out by Castor. Shears got ahead of Lowry and lost him to a walk. Now it's even to Alonso. Twins turned a double play in the 7th.
Alonso's ability to take those breaking balls that are low in the dirt, it takes a little bit of the steam out of Buddy Boshears. Those are the pitches he wants a left-hander to swing at.
Ground ball to Shaw. Escobar to Dozier. Dozier to Mauer, and they get another big double play, 2 down.
Well, nice work by Buddy right there. Showed enough breaking balls that Alonso couldn't be quite as aggressive on the fastball. Guy hit a ground ball. Very, very nice work after coming back after walking the first hitter. You see this all his breaking balls, and then he gets him with a really good fastball on the outside part of the plate. Nice little turn up the middle there.
Just as an observer, you know what I liked about Escobar? It looked like his glove was spiked to the ground. He was not going to have that ball get underneath his glove.
Nope.
2 down, and now Chapman. Outside, ball 1. Chapman hit the ball hard his last time up, lining out to Granite in center field.
He did hit that ball hard. That looked like a routine liner that Zach was going to have to come in on, and almost sailed over his head.
2-0. 15 pitches for Boshears, only 7 strikes, but he's got 2 outs and the bases are empty. A high fly to left.
Yeah, that will not come back. That is way, way back.
Chapman's 6th of the year, and it's a 1-run game.
They talked about his power. Boshears made the mistake of falling behind 2-0. Chapman sitting all over a fastball and got all of it. Two-0 down the middle.
Boshears faced 3 men, only retired 1. That ball absolutely crushed.
That was crushed.
Boshears has some trouble in the 8th inning. The A's are within 1, and Taylor Rogers will have a chance to pick up yet another hold in the 8th. He'll face Maxwell in a 1-run game.
The Twins and may not be reproduced or retransmitted in any form, and the accounts and descriptions of this game may not be disseminated without the express written consent of the Minnesota Twins, LLC.
Rogers, who's had
Now batting the catcher.
Some difficult outings in his last 3. Will come in for the 46th time. The overall number is still good. ERA sub 3. Look at the innings, 39 1/3. A low whip. And he'll come on to face left-hand hitting catcher Maxwell in a 1-run game. Breaking ball, missing, ball 1. Foul back, and Maxwell was sitting on a fastball and spun it straight back to the screen. 1-1.
Taylor Rogers very, very tough on left-hand hitters. He got really good curveball. Really a big weapon for him. He sets it up with 92, 93, 94 miles an hour fastball. So it's all about throwing strikes for him in good spots.
A pop foul chased by Sano, and room to make the catch. Rogers gets the final out of the 8th inning, and the A's get one back to make it a 4-3 game. He'll hit after Kepler and then Mauer, and Sano with a long run and a catch near the tarp.
Oh, what a great play.
And a playful,
Hitting off the top of the 9th inning.
playful little bounce against the tarp.
Number 26, Max Kepler.
And the only lefty in the Oakland pen, Daniel Colomb, will pitch to Kepler, Sano, and Mauer. And the Twins in the last 4 games counting tonight, they've not scored a run after the 5th inning. Kepler has struck out 3 times. He did single leading off the 5th and scored on Sano's home run. There is no activity in the Twins pen, which suggests that Taylor Rogers may have a chance to get a save here. Swing and miss, 1-1.
Well, they've got, again, Brugman will lead off, or his spot will, left-hand hitter, Rajay Davis, and then Semyon. So we'll see. At least it would make sense that Taylor Rogers might get at least the first out.
Breaking ball over for strike 2. Kinsler threw 26 pitches last night. Tough night for Max Kepler. 4th swinging strikeout. 1 down, and now Sano.
Big breaking ball. Good spot. Really nice trajectory and a nice perfect speed.
Sano has struck out twice, bounced out once, and hit an opposite field 2-run home run. That made the score at the time 4-1. Now it's 4-3. Ball 1. Pulled foul, 1-1.
Here's the home run he hit in the 5th inning off the A's starter Chris Smith. Fastball up and out over the plate. Just went with that ball, didn't try to pull it. Hopefully that right field hits and home runs oftentimes get guys going. We'll see.
Pitch is up, and it's 2-1.
So far his takes and the swing on the breaking ball have been good against Colomb here. It looks like he's seen the ball pretty well.
Strike 2 taken, and it's 2-2.
Good breaking ball there.
The last game being played in baseball. Everything else is done. Two and two to Sano. On the outside corner, 2 down. And that'll bring up Mauer.
Colomb has a good breaking ball tonight. That looked like it might have come around the
Now
plate.
batting, number 7.
But it's a big breaker, and it keeps biting down pretty hard.
Still no activity in the Twins' pen, so Taylor Rogers, who had to come in and get the final out of the 8th inning, will be asked to get 3 outs in the 9th, it would appear. Mauer 0 for 2 with 2 walks. Off the plate, ball 1.
Pitch to Sano that struck out Sano. Looked to me like it came around the plate. And it did. We see that from Fox Tracks even when it's that much outside. That means the break, it went around the plate for sure.
Inside, 1-1. Count is 3-0 to Mauer with Escobar on deck. Bet you $1 he takes. And he takes ball 4. Mauer to first. Another base runner after the 2nd out.
Right.
And Escobar will hit.
Eduardo's better side. He's throwing the bat well, both sides really, from left and right-handed, but right-handed clearly his
Number
better
5,
side, both for average
Escobar.
and power. Maybe he can deliver a big 2-out hit. Give him Taylor Rogers just a little more breathing room. Hit one in the gap.
Couple of hits for Escobar.
Oh, good swing there.
Tried to provide some cushion.
Yes, he did. And didn't miss much. Got the big end of the bat right to that ball. Just hit underneath it just a bit.
And now 0-2. And Mauer trying to advance, and he will reach second base on the pitch in the dirt. Great read by Mauer, reading a pitch breaking down into the dirt and taking off immediately.
It's a good base runner. He's a little faster than you might think for a big guy, but he's also a very good base runner. He's got really good judgment. And he's ready to go. That's what I love about that. I mean, on first base with 2 out, anytime really, but with 2 out late in the game, you see a curveball go up there. You can see that from as a runner. You see the curveball up there. You're looking for it to go in the dirt. If it goes in the dirt, get started a little bit. You can always stop and get back, but be ready to go, and he was. It's good base running.
0-2 to Escobar. Checked his swing, and it's 1-2. Another one in the dirt.
Yep, Joe was ready again. He was ready to go to third.
It's 2 for 9 with runners in scoring position. Again tonight, they have not scored since the 5th.
And they're 0 for 5 with 2 out. So let's go trying to buck the odds here a little bit. Find a hole.
Checked his swing again. Another one in the dirt. 2-2. Foul. Twins got 2 runs in the 2nd and 2 in the 5th. Hits are even at 10. He's trying to cash in on the 2-out walk and the wild pitch. Chopper up the line, foul ball. Taylor Rogers pacing, as is now recommended in the Twin staff when you've pitched in the 8th. Has to go out in the 9th. Don't sit down, just keep moving. Rogers does not have a professional save, not in rookie ball, not in A ball, not in AA or AAA, and not in the big leagues. So he'll be trying to do something for the first time as a pro in a 1-run ball game, unless Escobar can change the score. Sliced foul the other way.
Escobar battling there. I actually like that little foul ball. Waited a long time. He was seen a lot of curveballs from Colom, and he's seen Kepler and Snow strike out on that good curveball. So he can't get too aggressive trying to pull a fastball. He's got to be confident enough to wait and identify the pitch.
Seen some long battles by Escobar. What was it in Detroit? A 13-pitch battle, ending in a strikeout. Now he's battling Colom, trying to finish it with a hit. And now it's 3-2. Rosario on deck.
And with the left-hand hitting Rosario on deck, Eduardo's got to know there's no guarantee that 3-2 is a fastball count here. It could be the curveball as well. You have to hit like you have 2 strikes on you and just react to the ball.
And a foul off the catcher and then to the backstop. Maxwell took this one off the mask, it looked like. Right between the eyes.
That can't feel good. It just can't.
Another 3-2 to Escobar. Ground ball to third. And Chapman on target across the way. Taylor Rogers will try to save it for the Twins. It's 4-3 Minnesota. Miguel Sano with a couple of runs batted in on a home run. Zach Granite with a couple of runs batted in on a single. It's a 4-3 Twins lead, and again Taylor Rogers trying to do something he's never done professionally, and that is close out a ball game in a save situation. They face Jacob Brugman, Rajai Davis, and Marcus Semien. Matt Belisle warming up down in the pen.
It's Brugman's spot, actually. It's Adam Rosales hitting.
Oh, I'm sorry, Rosales pinch hitting for Brugman. Yep. So Rosales leading things off, and again the A's have done a really good job getting their leadoff men on, but they've only scored 2 runs. Strike 1 and strike 2.
Well, that's the key for this young man, Taylor Rogers. He's got the stuff. There's no question about it. Good fastball and a really good breaking ball. And it's just a question of him pitching from ahead, and then so that he's able to stay out of the middle of the plate.
Breaking ball down and in. Did he go? He did not go. Rosales just checked in time.
Yep, that's a good check.
Now the fastball missing 2-2. Shears started the 8th inning getting ahead of Lowry, but then losing him to a walk. Three and 2. Got ahead of him 0-2. The veteran Davis on deck. He already has 3 hits tonight. Fouled away. Another fastball at 95.
From what I've seen of Taylor Rogers now over the course of the last couple of years, it really is about fastball command for him. We're seeing a little bit of it here. They had 0-2 with fastballs, missing with a curveball, and then unable to find that corner with a fastball. Successive pitches. Now he's got to make a pitch 3-2.
Ball 4. He missed with a fastball. After getting ahead, 0-2. And now Davis.
Yeah, it's tough to dodge these bullets. 8th inning, walk the first hitters. 9th inning, walk the first hitter. That's very, very difficult
Number 11,
to overcome that. We'll hope that Taylor can come back and get out of it, at least as Boshears did with a double play ball before giving up the home run. But they don't have anything to work with now. They've got 1 run.
Davis with hits his first 3 times up. Most recently grounding out to Dozier. The Twins have gotten a big double play in each of the last 2 innings, and they'd gladly take another one here in the 9th. Outside with a fastball. Gonzalez with 1 steal and 2 tries. Sano in on the grass at 3rd, expecting a possible bunt. Coach Davis still runs well down the line. Davis has grounded into 7 double plays this year. Deep to center. Chased by Granite. He won't get there. Gone. Rajay Davis with a walk-off home run. Come back with 1 in the 8th and 2 in the 9th and beat the Twins 5-4.
Well, he walked the first hitter in the bottom of the 9th, which is just a cardinal sin, and then just didn't have fastball command at all. Got behind Rajay Davis, who was having a good night for himself already. Came right in with a fastball then after showing him one. Davis hit the heck out of it.
And it took Bob Melvin about a week, but tonight, thanks to Rajay Davis, he finally has his 1,000th win as a big league manager. Disappointing outing for the Twins, and specifically for Taylor Rogers. Pressed into closer's duty with Kinsler throwing 26 pitches last night. And so the Twins, who were just that close to getting back to 500 and picking up a game at least on the Kansas City Royals, now find themselves back, 2 games back to the 500 mark. Tom Hanneman, a tough one for the Twins here in Oakland.